Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back your lovely faces. The press and the critics and everything else, they are trying ever so hard to try and make out that Snow White, it's not the flopper everyone thinks it is, even though the box office tells otherwise. But I was coming across this. Disney's Snow White remake wasn't the biggest box office bomb this weekend. Robert De Niro's new gangster movie did far worse. Disney's live-action remake of Snow White has received most of the attention from this week's box office results, but it wasn't the biggest box office disappointment. That title belongs to Robert De Niro's new movie, The Alto Knights. While the two films could not be more different, Snow White and The Alto Knights shared the privilege of releasing in theatres on March 21st. Disney and Warner Brothers put the two movies out on the same day. In theory, both should have been major box office hits, given who was involved. We'll come back to that in a moment. Given the notoriety of Disney's live-action remakes, the original animated movie and Snow White's massive budget, the Rachel Zegler starring musical unsurprisingly won its weekend. However, the accomplishment did not come exactly as expected. Snow White's $43 million weekend opening is viewed as a significant disappointment. Well, yeah, it's going to be, especially when all the other live-action ones have made over $100 and $120 million and up. It's viewed as a significant disappointment, pointing to it being a big box office flop at the end of its theatrical run. But The Alto Knights was never going to come close to matching Snow White's box office haul, even in the best outcome, which it never was. But De Niro's gangster movie is really a bigger box office bomb, statistically speaking. These people, they're trying to make it out that Snow White is, it's not as big of a bomb as people expect. And the way that they're trying to do this now is like, well, it's already made back some of its budget. No, it hasn't. So, it goes into it. The Alto Knights had an abysmal opening weekend at the box office. Robert De Niro's movie opened outside the top 5. The Alto Knights' opening box office figures were horrible. The movie only made $3.1 million at the domestic box office during its first 3 days of release, and the movie didn't get much help overseas either, as it only made $1.9 million. That gives him a $5 million worldwide box office total, which I believe at the moment now is sitting like $6 million odd. That's certainly not what Warner Brothers hoped for when they greenlit the period drama from director Barry Levinson, and got Robert De Niro to play 2 roles, increasing the cost of production in the process. One of the main reasons The Alto Knights got made is because of Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav. At the same time, he was busy cancelling finished movies to get tax breaks, like the Batgirl film, $80 or $90 million budget. He championed that the movie should still happen after taking control of the company in 2022. This led to the film's greenlight with a risky $45 to $50 million budget. When you see it like that, especially when Snow White cost in the region of $300 million, it's like, right, okay, you got $50 million, $300 million. Only made less than $100 million. This has only made $6 million, Movies typically need to make 2.5 times their budget at the box office to become successful. That put the Alto Knights' target box office total at potentially $125 million. Well, if you say it's 2.5, then you're probably looking around that mark there, but Screen Rant are the only ones who's saying, it needs to do this. Technically speaking, the Alto Knights will probably do a lot more business when it hits digital and when it hits physical release. That's when it'll make its money. The Alto Knights opening is much worse than Snow White's, despite the remake's $200 million plus budget. They all want to be towards the lower end of the budget scale for Disney, and I don't know why. It has been reported back in 2022, this movie cost $270 million then. Then they had to do reshoots, add in CGI because of the Year 7 dwarfs, so that literally knocked it up past $300 million. But they're all going, oh no, it's $200 million plus. No, it's closer to $300 million than $200 million. But they're like, oh no, we gotta try and make it look good for everyone. And it says about Snow White has a better chance of breaking even. Snow White's budget may be a lot higher than the Alto Knights, obviously, but Disney's live-action remake is in a better position to potentially earn back a majority of its cost. With a budget reportedly anywhere as low as 209 and as high as 269. No, Screen Rant even did an article stating it was $273 million, I believe. That's what they wrote like a year ago. So now this is, oh no, it's the lower end. The opening domestic means the film has recouped roughly 15 to 20% of its budget already. No, it hasn't. If we look at the movie's worldwide box office total of $87.3 million, then Disney has made back 32 to 41% of what it cost to make the movie. Yeah, it hasn't. Screen Rant, they always have this thing where they put out articles, they're trying to make things look better for a certain film which is going to be a flop, and they'll try and do anything they can to make it look more presentable and better for people. But they're saying, oh, 87.3 million, Disney's made back 32 to 41% of its cost to make. Out of that $87.3 million, Disney is only getting 40 million back. They don't seem to remember that. They keep putting out in their articles about films that they don't like which make money. Oh, well, they only get half of what they get. With opening weekends and box office numbers, half of the money goes to the studio. The rest goes to the theatre chains. So if you want to look at like Avatar, $2.9 billion. Half of that, so $1.45 billion, went to Disney, and the rest went to the movie theatres. That's how it's done. But they're trying to make, oh, well, it's going to make back its production budget, isn't it? No. But then it goes back about, there's a chance Snow White could at least get its budget back, even if it's a box office loss by the end of its theatrical run. Again, it doesn't matter if you get your budget back. If you get your budget back, the film is still a fucking bomb. But then it goes on regarding the Alternites. It only results to 6% of its budget. Even if we take its global total into consideration, the film has only made 10% of its budget back. The way that they've done this, see, they're even trying to do, oh, well, percentage, they can get this, they can get that. No, it doesn't work like that. But then again, when you look at the Alternites itself, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, to me, are the greatest actors who ever lived. They are just absolutely just sublime in whatever they do. Obviously, the Godfather films, Goodfellas, Scarface, these two guys have been in the best of the gangster film genre. They've been in all of them. But when you see this film, and like we were saying in the article when they're saying about this, that, both should have been box office hits given who was involved. With Disney, who was involved? Which major star that has box office pulling power starred in it? Rachel Zegler's not one. Gal Gadot, she's more along the lines of being in ensemble casts, the Fast and Furious, the Batman movies, Superman. But I will say regarding the Alternites, you've got Barry Levinson, who was the director, Nicholas Pileggi, the guy who wrote Goodfellas, wrote it, and obviously Robert De Niro. But when you look at the other people who are in it, Deborah Messing. People could be thinking, now, who the hell's Deborah Messing? She's Grace out of Will and Grace. Cosmo Jarvis. Him. Catherine. Her. Michael Rispoli. No photo for him. Michael Adler. An old actor. You got Ed. As you can see, a lot of these people, they haven't really got a lot of stuff going on. But by there, Saved by the Bell reboot. Now, Barry Levinson, not a bad director. He has done some good films. But if you're going to make a gangster movie and you got Nicholas Pileggi writing it and you got Robert De Niro starring in it, they should have gave this to Martin Scorsese. Guaranteed it would have been a huge box office success. But when we look into the production part, initially titled Wise Guys, good title, that was actually one for Goodfellas as well, was in the works from as early as the 70s, but over the decades was passed on by every major studio. Warner Brothers gave the film a green light in 2022. Nicholas Pileggi wrote the script, and Barry Levinson directed, and starring Robert De Niro in a dual role. This should have been a big film. Another thing as well is if you look at gangster films, this runtime here, 123 minutes, 2 hours and 4 minutes long. It's absolutely terrible because every gangster film, if you look at it, I look at the best ones now. So obviously Goodfellas, the Godfather films, Scarface, Once Upon a Time in America. You see all of these and they're roughly about 2.5 to 3 hours long. Unless you're The Irishman, which is 3.5 hours and still one of the best gangster films ever done. But then it's like, okay, whatever. But then this got me thinking regarding Rotten Tomatoes. Because when you go down here for the critical response and everything else, a lot of people actually gave the Alto Knights good reviews, So on here, we're going to go to this guy in a moment. So at this moment in time, if you remember, we did a thing regarding these. So here's what we got. So top critics 31, all critics 39. Verified audience 71, all audience 56. Understandable because, it's not going to be a film for the younger generation. It's not. It was an R-rated movie as well, and it's a drama. It's not going to be. It's not going to be marketed at teenagers or the PG-13 crowd. But then when you go into it, you've got obviously all of these, the critic receptions. Splat. Yeah, I like this bit of gangster theatre. Christy, to be honest with you, I'm with her there. I don't know why this movie exists. It breathes no new life into the mobster movie genre at all and will only serve to remind you of better movies. But then I was just looking at these by here, and you got this guy by here, James, whatever his name is. Perhaps too many stories have already been told about this era of organised crime that the need to find new material has resulted in something watered down, talky, and only fitfully compelling. And he gave it a splat, but he rated it 2.5 out of 4. This guy, he also gave Snow White 2.5 out of 4, but he gave that a fresh rating. To me, if you're going to give the same score to both films or other films, you can't say, oh yeah, it's entertaining, oh yeah, 2 point. No, you just can't do it. You just can't. But going back to obviously the main part of this is they're going on, given who was involved, these should have been box office spectaculars and hits. No. The problem is, with gangster films this day and age, with just crime drama like those, they don't really do anything big now unless you do have the main people who made the old ones fantastic, And with that one, with the Alto Knights, you could probably go, okay then, right, we're going to have Martin Scorsese direct it, and instead of Robert De Niro, we're going to put in Leonardo DiCaprio. Box office success straight away. That's exactly what happened. Hell, even with De Niro doing the two roles and Martin Scorsese directing, it would have been a hit because of the name recognition. That's what it is. And to be honest with you, if you go back to the production on this as well, the film was originally meant to be released last February in 2024. And obviously they were like, the writers' strike of 2023. That's when they released it in 2025. What? It's absolutely insane. But that's another thing as well, is they didn't even advertise this movie. Here in the UK, the only time I actually saw a trailer for this movie is actually on YouTube. And if you look at a lot of other people, they're like, well, yeah, there was hardly any advertising for it at all. There was no promotion. Robert De Niro hasn't been on any talk shows talking about it, has he? I think he did one, but I don't think they talked about the film at all. That's just what happens, and it's sad to see. Robert De Niro's been doing a lot of press recently, but that is actually for his TV show or his series he's got on Netflix, which is actually getting rave reviews, which I may give that a go. But that's what we got, guys. Let us know down below, because this is absolutely hysterical in my eyes. They're still trying to make out that Snow White, it's a bomb, but it's not that bad of a bomb. Look at this other film failed. No. They're literally trying to take the heat off it, and to be honest with you, with Screen Rant, here's some of the people who actually get access and exclusives from Disney. So I wonder why they're trying to make everything, oh no, Snow White's perfect. Yeah, we know why. But that's what we got, guys. If you let us know down below what you think of this. Do you think we are going to see a lot more damage control? Will you be watching the alternate nights when it comes to streaming or online? Let us know below, folks. If you are new to the channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.